Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, and today is reading good shit. And you don't get any better than the new 64th issue of Shock Cinema from my friend Steve, and it's packed full of stuff, interviews. Shock has always been great with interviews. They get people that nobody else gets, like Stephen Tobolowsky, Chris Mulkey, Linda Jane Persky, J. Raymond Barry, and it's tons of articles, reviews, all kinds of cool stuff. And Steve was nice enough to give me a little plug here on Two-Fisted Tales of Times Square, as I didn't send it in for a review. I sent it in for more of a gift because he reviews all my other stuff and things. So Two-Fisted Tales of Times Square, available at Amazon.com. Oh yeah, it is, but fuck them, buy it off me, www.42ndstreetpete.net. The latest book from Pete Chiarella, aka 42nd Street Pete, takes a break from his usual film-based writing for a collection of 14 pulpy fictional short stories set in New York during the 1970s and 80s. Chiarella, who spent that period hanging around Times Square's seediest dives and grindhouses, loosely bases these stories around various locations he frequented: bars, theaters, strip joints, bookstores, and the people he encountered, populated by a vivid array of hustlers, whores, junkies, barflies, and lowlives. These tales include a handful of recurring characters and the occasional supernatural element. It's the title story that involves a werewolf hitman hired to track down assholes who behind the theft of a young man's liver and kidneys. Plus there's a scumbag pimp who's unwilling to audition to his stable a female vampire. A ghost story about a raped and murdered hooker determined to stop the serial killer responsible. The murderous, axe-swirling legacy of 42nd Street's Liberty Theater, and the newly released after a 5-year prison stint Mob Fixer returns to work. Grounded in authenticity and atmospheric details and laced with highly graphic bloodshed, Chiarella also provides an epilogue into about each story's real-life inspirations. Very cool of him, and like I said, you can get this at Barnes & Noble, Shock Cinema's on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, so it's only $7. He's kept the price down. He started as a fanzine also, like Sleazoid Express and the Gore Gazette and Psychotronic Video, and basically he's the sole survivor of that era. So please, support Shock Cinema. And I go to this whole thing here. I'm going to screw this up because I can't remember shit. But anyway, Killin Generals by Dwayne Epstein. The Making of the Dirty Dozen, the most iconic WW2 war movie of all times. And, we have basically, there's interviews, there's anecdotes, there's a bunch of stuff, but they're brief because I don't know when he did this. It's a 2023 release. A lot of the guys were gone by then, unfortunately, and some were still around. He basically opens it up with a look at the characters as the novel had portrayed them, which was vastly different than the film, although they kept some little things going on here. But the way it was cast, there was a top 6 and a bottom 6. The top 6 was Charles Bronson, Telly Savalas, Jim Brown, Trini Lopez, Clint Walker. Did I fuck up? And John Cassavetes. The bottom 6, the only recognizable name was Donald Sutherland, and the other ones, I can't remember their names, Al Mancini, I believe, or something. But a couple of them were Canadian actors and things. And of course you had, Lee Marvin in the title role, Richard Jekyll as the sergeant, cast of a ton of character actors: Robert Webber, Ernest Borgnine, Ralph Meeker, George Kennedy, Robert Ryan. And it just goes into detail, a little, antidote, whatever the fuck, remembrances and whatever. And there was a guy in there who played one of the MPs, Morgan, whose lines were drastically cut because what happened was while they were filming this, they were filming it in England, and it rained a lot. So they spent a lot of downtime playing cards and doing shit like that. And Woody Allen was a frequent guest at the card games, I read somewhere. But basically, I had to cut a bunch of stuff, including Reisman's romantic relationship with some woman who had property near where they were training, and Morgan's lines were cut. Morgan was played by Robert Phillips, who basically was an undercover cop in Los Angeles, was a football player, was a Marine drill instructor, and a good buddy of Lee Marvin's. And he at one point said that Charles Bronson has more lines on his face than I have in this movie. Basically, what they were doing with him was using him to babysit Lee. And he said in his memoirs, I guess, or when they died at age 93, they caught him right before he died. He said, he goes, it was basically to keep Lee out of trouble during the day and take him to pubs on weekends. And he said what happened was this whole thing backfired a little bit because Lee was cast in other films like The Klansman, and they wanted to hire Phillips to babysit him. And he says, no, Lee Marvin suffers from PSTD. He's always in constant pain. That's why he drinks. His sciatic nerve was severed in World War II. And he's an alcoholic. He goes, if you want me to be in a movie as an actor, it's a whole different thing. And he goes, the funny part was I was offered a lot more money to babysit him than actually act. And they said, Lee Marvin's a grown man. Lee Marvin can take care of himself. I'm not going to babysit Lee. And Phillips is a recognizable face. He was in Detroit 9000, Walking Tall, the third one, and a bunch of stuff. Just look up his IMDb thing. You'll be amazed. He's just one of those guys that sort of sits into the background, but really, really a good character actor. And there was other stuff like Jim Brown said, he got on a plane and was sitting next to Charles Bronson, and Charles Bronson just stared straight ahead through the whole flight. Telly Savalas and John Cassavetes used to argue about the best place in New York to get Greek food. Bunch of stuff. There's another weird thing about Trini Lopez was cast. I think this was his first and probably last film role. They were running over, and Frank Sinatra showed up to talk to Trini. And he was telling Trini basically that he was hot right now, but he wouldn't be hot if he stayed around and, finish this movie, and he should ask for more money. Frank owned the label that Trini was on, Reprise. And Frank also had history with the director, Robert Aldrich, because Aldrich wanted him fired from on the set of 4 for Texas because Frank was acting unprofessionally and being a complete douchebag. So there was a lot of heat between that. So basically, he got Trini to ask for his out, ask for more money. So what Aldrich did was he wrote him out of the script. 2 days after he did that, Trini begged to come back in, and he says, no way. That's why Trini got killed in the landing, before they stormed the chateau. I mean, there's some great stuff in here. It's not going to be a blow-by-blow. There's no quotes by Lee Marvin. There's no, it's whatever this gentleman could get, out of these people that were still around, which there weren't a lot of them. Also with the guy who supplied the armor, for the film, and the mistakes they made with certain shit. Something about one vehicle, they just basically put a fucking plywood partition on the top and drew an iron cross on it and used it. Some missing stuff, some scenes that were supposed to be filmed and never filmed, things like that. So it's a pretty good read, if you're a fan of The Dirty Dozen, you have to remember The Dirty Dozen and The Magnificent Seven were the ones that spawned the whole ensemble cast deal, and which has been used for decades since. So you get a bunch of people that you get to know, you learn to care about, and then you get really pissed off when they all get killed at the end. So check out Shock Cinema, check out Killin Generals. That's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side.